joining me on the Bad Ass Podcast today is the frontman of a band who I have seen now 3 different states as his band opened up for Seven Dust at the House of Blues in Chicago. You opened up for Otherwise and Blacktop Mojo at the Machine Shop in Flint, Michigan. And I saw you guys at the Shrine in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I'd like to welcome to the show out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, the frontman for the hard rock band Kirra, Mr. Daxton Page.
How's it going, everybody? How's it going, Evan?
Fantastic. How you been?
I've been doing well, man. Just trying to stay busy during all this, stuff with the pandemic and everything, just trying to keep busy, keep productive, and, move a little bit closer to these goals we've been setting.
Yeah, and I see you guys have actually started kind of announcing shows for the upcoming months. So that kind of works out as well. So in the past year or so, obviously with COVID, as I call the C19, how has that affected you guys besides the traveling and the shows?
So yeah, not being able to travel and everything, that's kind of, it hit everybody hard. But for us, what we decided to do, because, we're an up-and-coming band, and so we've got a fire in us. And so when we saw that everything had kind of come to a halt, we had to we were put at a crossroads, which is like, okay, well, do we kind of just lay down and accept that everything shut down, or do we just try to use the problem as an opportunity to do new things and to reach more people, even though we're not out there touring? And so we started doing, because the COVID lockdown happened in like March of 2020, right?
Correct, yeah.
3 months earlier, we had just released our full-length record, Redefined. So we were planning on touring on that and all that kind of stuff. And since that wasn't able to happen, we're like, well, maybe what we could do is like a track-by-track breakdown. And we basically made it a live stream series. Like every week during rehearsals, we would record a little session, and it would be one song from the record each time. So it's kind of like through the weeks, we were going through the songs on the record as sort of like a promotional thing.
Well, that's a pretty interesting way to do it, because obviously you can't tour. So you have to come up with new, and that's what everybody's been doing. They've been coming up with new ideas on how to promote themselves and just get out there in front of the masses without just, trying to do, Facebook invites and shit like that. So
yeah, and it's one of those things too where a lot of bands, this kind of can tie into the music business stuff we were going to talk about later, which is like a lot of bands are very focused on touring as like the majority of the business. And I think COVID was actually a great opportunity for bands that are up and coming to see the business is not just touring. That is a big part of it, but it's not all the business is, and it's not the only way that your band can get momentum and get traction. Because if you think about it, the only people that your band can reach at a show are the people that attend the show. Whenever you do a live stream, the audience that you could now get in front of is exponentially bigger. So, like, even in that aspect, just having that mental shift of like, well, where are the people at? And if your goal is to grow your band, then shows are an important aspect of it, but they're not anywhere near the main way you're going to get a bunch of fans, because, like I said, only people you can reach are the people that actually went to the show. Which can be sometimes anywhere from like 10 to 50 to 100 people, which isn't bad, right? But if you can get 1,000 people on a live stream, you can do a little bit more, get a little bit more impact.
And with the live stream, so do you guys record these and then put them up on YouTube later, or do you just kind of hold them for yourself and then use that maybe as a little promo package for something later?
That's actually a good question. We, at the moment, all of those live streams are just kind of archived up on our Facebook. So you could, or in our Instagram as well. So you could go to like our Instagram TV or our Facebook videos, and you'll see all those live streams in a playlist. I think we have one called like the Quarantune playlist or something like that, And yeah, you can go watch all of those, just kind of like a little cool series, just to give people some free content so they can enjoy it while they're, stuck at home, unfortunately, in certain areas.
Yeah. So, and have you? And we'll get into this in a little bit. Have you guys put it up on Patreon as well?
I actually have not put the Quarantune live streams up on Patreon yet. We've got a whole bunch of stuff on there at the moment. But yeah, that's that's what the patrons get. They get that exclusive stuff before everybody. So
exactly. So obviously, you and I started really talking about doing this podcast together about a week ago, mainly because of the post that you put up about how the band Chevelle stated that they haven't made any money on selling 6 million records. So it also got you and I into talking on how to educate more artists about their talents and crafts. And I also then looked up that you do live trainings on musicianmastercourse.com. So we're going to start talking about that. So there is a lot of like layers of this whole, and you and I know music is a business, but also there's those that are just novices and do it for like little side fun.
Yeah.
But those that are really into it know it's a business, but also need to treat it like a business. And there are so many people that have no clue how to do it except for going, yeah, I'm just going to send out Facebook invites like I talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So let's kind of get into that a little bit about, let's start with the whole Chevelle thing. 6 million records, and they don't make hardly any money. I mean, they made some money, but it's nothing to shake a stick at.
Yeah, and the big point in that is what people think of is, well, Chevelle's got all this clout, and they've got all how can it be that their terms are so bad on their contract? And it really isn't Chevelle's fault necessarily. It's because they signed that contract at such an early point in their career. And this was during a section of the industry when at this moment in time, if you got with a label that had the right backing, you could actually your career could take off that way. That was sort of the old model, right?
Yeah.
The old, radio guy, or not radio guys, the label guys going and finding A&R, reps and finding new bands and all that kind of stuff. That was sort of the end of that era, was when Chevelle sort of kicked up. And how these contracts work is you'll get advances to go record the go record the record, go shoot a music video, all that fun stuff. And most people think that you just get to keep that money. But it's like, no, you actually owe that to the label. So what happens with a lot of artists is they get the advance, they spend all this money to get this stuff done. Well, now they got to pay it all back. And sometimes you don't pay all that money back in that album cycle, so you still have some debt. Well, the next album cycle, that debt just gets tacked on to the end of the new bunch of debt you're going to get for this new record. And so you could see how over the course of 6 records or 7 records, Chevelle wouldn't be able to make as much money as they wanted to or deserved, really, because the contract pretty much put it in a way that they were just kind of adding debt and debt and debt. Now, I don't know. I'm not looking at their books or anything, so they could be doing just fine. And I would actually hope that that's the case. But for a lot of bands, that is the case, where that debt just gets passed on from album to album. And then once you get to the end of your cycle, I mean, you still have all this stuff that you owe, and it's just it's not a very profitable business model. But yet we have, like you mentioned, you have lots of bands that are starting out, and they're looking up at what is possible and how they can be successful. And that's kind of the model that they're looking at, And I feel like one of the best things we could do is educate young artists that that's not necessarily the way to do it anymore. There is a time to get together with a label. I'm not, not shitting on labels, but there is a time and a place. And a lot of artists, they see that sort of pie in the sky dream of the label will pick me up and then I won't have to do all the business stuff because they'll do it for me. But it's like we're in the age now where the responsibility of the business side has been shifted ever more and just more progressively onto the artist. So the artist has to be the one that runs the marketing, the PR, and all this kind of stuff that traditionally a label has a department of people that just takes care of all that for you.
And speaking about all that and the PR and the marketing and all that, I do PR myself. And
nice.
One thing I always say, I go, watch out for those people that promise you everything but give you nothing.
Oh, yeah.
So especially those that say, I could do this for you, I could do this for you, I could do this for you. And then their track record is usually shit. So
exactly.
What I always say is I'm like, do your research on people. Don't just go with what they say. Go with what they have done. Go with the name in the industry, because I've been doing this shit for 20 years as a photographer, interviewer, actually 25. I'm fucking old, but whatever. But yeah, I've been doing it.
You got that wisdom, bro.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you as a band, you kind of know the whole thing with the PR. You know how people just talk out of their ass and just take it for the money. And it's like it's like these artists see the big picture and they will take anything that's given to them because, oh yeah, this is a great fucking band. This is what they're told. This is what we could do for you. We'll get you on, Metal Sucks or on this and this, this and this. And it doesn't happen. Then what? Then where's all that money going?
Well,
it's also got to be smart. It's got to be smart business sense. It's got to be a way that you actually have to think about spending your money right. And I'm wondering if that's one of the early issues with Chevelle is they didn't use their funds very well.
Maybe so.
On things
got
that
really big,
did.
expensive music videos and stuff potentially.
Expensive music videos, overproduction. Maybe they spent it on other things that they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
big hotel rooms. It just
Records go over budget all the time.
Exactly. So you kind of have to be a smart business person in the sense, yeah, they've been doing it for 25 years or so.
Yeah.
But you figure by now they'd know, and they probably have learned since then.
Oh, absolutely.
How do we teach these newer bands and these bands with these big dreams not to fall into the prey of the bullshit that is the music industry?
Honestly, that's one of the most important questions to ask. And I think I don't have the 100% answer. I wish I did. But one of the answers I feel is a good result for a lot of young people to start paying attention to is you have to take stock of your own expectations and what you want out of this business.
Correct.
And if you are that type of person, there's nothing wrong with having the vision that you want, like a very nice lifestyle, let's say. But if that is the case, you have to identify what that is. Like, is it $1 million? Is it 1 million record sales? And you have to basically, what I would do is study entrepreneurs. They are the best people, because musicians are entrepreneurs. We just have kind of been convinced that we're not, because we focus so much on the art side of it, which needs to be focused on, obviously, because we're artists. But like you said, there's sort of this divide between musicians who are just like, I love music. I really don't care if I tour or play shows. I just like music, and I want to play music on the side, and cool. That's totally commendable. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But if you're in this other camp, you're in this camp where you're genuinely serious about being in the music industry, I would start to study entrepreneurs, because they're the ones that literally, they build the mindsets, the strategies, the systems to implement businesses. And so if you can learn the techniques and how money works from the perspective of an entrepreneur, the music business is just one subset now, because you understand supply and demand, you understand economics, and you understand that, the music business just has its own little thing, and you could start to see where the money goes in, where the money goes out, and how you can make more of that kind of flow in your direction. So I'd say to the artists that are really dedicated to, like, they have that fire, me and the singer Gabriel, we talk all the time about, like, that moment that we found out that music was the thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that moment where we decided, like, it's not just this kind of fleeting, music's cool. Like, we had this moment, different points in our life, where we decided, like, if I don't do this, I'm unfulfilled. And that was the reality of it, And so we just, like, if that's the case, then I have to commit to this. I have to commit, and there's no plan B. It's just, how do I make this happen, as opposed to, this is difficult, all these artists do this, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, fuck all that. Just study entrepreneurs, study what successful people have done, and I would say more importantly, study their mindset. Like, Tony Robbins once said that, like, 80% of success in any field is psychology, and then the other 20% is the mechanics, the strategies, and all that kind of stuff. Like, if I told you, dude, just build an email list, market to that email list, give your fans good products to buy from, that stuff that's cool, like good shirts, cool music videos, cool packages. Like, that on paper is not very difficult. But then the mindset of implementing it, what do I say, all the fears that pop up, that's what stops most people.
Exactly. It's over expectations of what they think is going to happen, and they don't put the work into it. They don't put the research into it. That's the problem with the whole newbie of the industry, is those that know, but then those that are novices break up because, John over there leaves the band because he expected to, 15 years into this, make a lot of money, and he's not making shit. He's playing some back bar, on Saturday night, wearing his gym shoes and fucking Metallica shirt. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No.
There's time and place for all of that. But those who are serious know how to fucking do it. And obviously, this conversation, we're going to kind of talk about a little bit about how bands have done revenue and what they should start doing, because obviously there's a lot more out there than just, like you said, touring and album sales. So I was looking into a few of your little comments on our post the other day. So potential revenue for bands, you have memberships like fan clubs and Patreon, which we kind of talked a little bit about the Patreon. How has that worked for you? Because I know there's a lot of bands that are making pretty good fucking money with Patreon and being exclusive.
Patreon is an absolutely great tool. Now, I would say you don't have to just use Patreon. That's just who we used.
Yeah, it's one of the aspects.
One of the things I'd actually recommend is figure out if you can have everything under your own like website. Like instead of going through a third party like Patreon, if you could have your membership and fan club under your own domain name, that's actually the most effective way to do it because you don't have to profit share and there's all that other stuff. But Patreon has been a really good tool for us. We're still in the beginning stages of building it. But the fans that have gotten into it have like messaged us and been like, "Well, there's a lot of really cool stuff on here." And so we're gonna hopefully, just put more promotion, put more deals into. Hey, come join us on Patreon because there's lots of cool stuff there. And this is an important lesson I would like to teach musicians: is the difference between price and value. Like most people are so concerned about price, especially like managers and PR people that come in and stuff. It's like I would be more concerned of the value that's provided as opposed to the cost. Like, so someone says like, okay, you give me $300 a month and I'm going to get you this, and this. It's like, okay, that's what you say you're going to do because of the price, but what actual real life value can you bring? Like, could you call them right now? Like, could you get them on the phone right now? Oh, no, I couldn't do that. It's like, oh, okay, so you're kind of fluffing me up a little bit. Exactly. You're kind of feeding me a little BS because it makes, they're selling you on them as opposed to just showing you how good the value they provide is, and it sells itself, right? I think artists need to know that difference because there are people out there that they're wordsmiths, man. They're going to sell you on why you need to work with them, as opposed to like, here's the results I got for this person, this person, this person. Here's the results. Here's the real value. Now that is what does the selling for me. I don't have to, talk about who I know, all this extra, these cognitive biases like authority bias and social proof that get used on artists to like, work with me. I've worked with this person and with this person. It's like, well, what have you done lately? Can you show me numbers of results that you've provided for artists so I can be like, oh, I can potentially see those type of results? Yeah. Most artists aren't asking those questions.
Exactly.
They're just like, oh, I could get on that label? Oh, I can meet this person? And then, we're artists, man. We're creative. We like to imagine things. A lot of artists have very vivid imaginations. So we can actually, I know this is the case for a lot of people, we can see the future end result first before we've done any of the result, the steps to get to there. Exactly. So we're like, oh, this is the end result. But we're like, dude, you got to walk it back, man. How are you going to get one step closer to that, then the next step, then the next step? And that's, again, why I talk about entrepreneurs being so important to study. It's because they are like masters of setting a goal and then incrementally getting closer to that goal, whether the goal is massive, we're going to make 10 million, whatever, or if it's just like a little personal goal, they're masters at doing that. And musicians could learn that skill and become way more effective because they know they have the expectation, right? Mm-hmm. Some people have the expectation, I'm going to go out on tour, every night it's going to be packed, and then they go to their first dive bar gig and there's 3 people in there and they could give a shit less about your band. And then that ego is just, oh, no.
Exactly. It's all expectations. And you have to know, especially if you start touring early as a band, you have to know that you're not going to play in front of, like you just said, packed houses.
Yeah.
Unless you jump on a show, with a major established act. And
oh, yeah.
Like I saw you guys at the Flint, Michigan show. That was fucking epic.
I love the Machine Shop, man. That's
that
probably
was
one of the
best show I saw of 2018.
19. Was it Blacktop?
Yeah, with Blacktop.
Yeah, 2019.
That was the most amazing show for all 4 bands from top to bottom. You guys, nailed it. Every band on that whole stage nailed it. But yeah, that's the thing is, like, those are the nights that you are like, holy shit, we're here. This is happening. And then there's other nights where you're opening up for some other band and they have 15, 20 people and they're mainly there to see them, not you.
Yeah.
They have, they're doing the stand in the back corner. I don't know this song, shit like that. So,
Exactly. Oh, yeah. And like we've had instances where we went and played and, we know our demographic. We know we're a little bit heavier for some people. And we've played shows where the girls and the drinks get up like, this is really loud. We're going to get it. And we see them walk out and we're just like, hey, it's not for you. That's cool. Whatever. And it's like, you get black eyes, man, when you try to do this industry the old way. You get punched in the face sometimes. You get that expectation.
or punch in the gut. It's
Oh,
an ego trip in different manners, bad and good. So yeah,
yeah.
I totally get it.
Yeah, getting that expectation right and understanding that you're going to have bad nights, you're going to be cranky sometimes, you're going to miss home, you're going to question, why the hell am I even fucking doing this, man? Like, and this is one of the things I talk about in the Musician Master Course. Like, before I even go into a single publishing strategy, licensing strategy, any of that, I have like an hour or and a half of mindset training that we go through, because like you need, like, people need to understand, like, when you're going to hit those roadblocks where you're going to feel like you're at a bottom, and when you're at that point, it's like, what do you do? And for me, one of the biggest lessons is from like an old German philosopher named Friedrich Nietzsche, which said that he who knows his why can bear any how. So if you know your why, you know why you're doing this. Like, for me personally, for all the artists out there, I had that moment where I was like, if I don't pursue music, like, I will personally feel unfulfilled. Like, it was a reality that I had to accept. And if I knew that, it's like, okay, well, then that means I need to take this off, step forward. I need to be more like precise. I need to have proper expectation. There's a whole different slew of things that come along with that. But yeah, learning how to, set your expectations, get your mindset right, know your whys, know why you're doing this. That'll fuel you whenever you feel you're at the worst, right? Whenever the artists are having the most doubt, the most anxiety about, I don't know anything I need to know about the industry. Why am I doing this? You need to know the answer to that question, because if you can answer it, it's like, okay, yeah, this is tough, but I am doing it for a good reason, and so I can't give up. Like a little analogy, I weighed like 225 a few years ago, and I didn't like my weight, and so I was having a hard time losing weight, as most people like do, because working out sucks and dieting sucks, So like I had to implant a why that was strong enough to actually move me. Like Sigmund Freud, a psychologist, talks about, people are driven towards pleasure and away from pain.
Correct.
Musicians, we're all about the towards pleasure. Oh, what happens if 1 million fans, 1 million records, packed houses, Lamborghini, all that stuff. But then what I think would actually motivate you more is going away from pain. So, for instance, I wasn't thinking, I'm going to lose all this weight because I'm going to have six-pack, I'm going to be shredded, I'm going to have that beach body. None of that shit, right? I was thinking, and forgive me, it's a little dark, but this is legitimate. This is honestly what I thought to myself. I was like, Dax, if you don't eat right, you're going to have like a heart attack, and you're not going to be able to see your kids grow up. And your wife's going to like be on this earth without you. And like, she's going to be, I'm like, now it's a little bit easier to choke the salad down. You know what I'm saying? Because that why.
Gym and do what you need to do. Exactly.
Fucking A. Because now it's like, anytime you have those, I don't want to, that why is like, dude, remember why you're doing this. And it's like, oh shit, yeah, okay, I got to go do it. And that will drive you more than like, oh, I'm going to go get a fancy car, a new agent, a new tour, that stuff won't really drive you to take that action today. Going away from pain, though, setting like when I was like, dude, if I don't pursue music, like I literally feel unfulfilled. Because I noticed it, because there was like a while where I was just kind of working a job. I wasn't really playing music that often. And I was like, man, is this what it'd be like if I just like wasn't doing what I'm doing? Wasn't touring, wasn't playing music for people, releasing music. It's like, I can't do that. But I had to be real with that.
Yep.
And just like, okay, that's what I'm striving away from, is that feeling.
See, and that's what's funny is a decade ago, I was in that exact spot. I was at a job. I hated it, doing the 9-to-5 bullshit. Mm-hmm. And since 2011, I started doing stuff I wanted to do that made me happy. And even if I didn't make the money doing it that I wanted to, at least my mindset was in the right spot, because I went through the whole depression thing. I was in the hospital for a week once just because of depression, but I beat it all and I've overcome it. And now everything I'm doing currently is everything I've ever wanted to do. So that's how people have to kind of move forward with that mindset of expectations for yourself and expectations for your future. Because what are you going to do if you're just going to work that 9-to-5 and never have that, like you said, you're going to have that void of, I miss this, doing this in my life.
Dude, it's kind of one of those things. I always feel uncomfortable when it happens, but there's nothing much you can do but just be respectful when a fan does this. But I've had fans come up to me and look at me, and they're a little bit older, you know, they're like in their 50s or so, and they look at me and they go, dude, you're literally living my dream right now.
Yeah.
And in my mind, like, the way they say it, I'm like, dude, you know, this is my dream too, right? You know, but like, because there's a little bit of like resentment sometimes.
Correct.
Like, dude, you're totally living my dream right now. It's like, well, dude, like, I hate to sound like this, but it's like, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but that was your choice that you made. You know, and that's a painful thing for people to do sometimes, is to look in the mirror and go, oh shit, I made a bad choice here. Like, I had this girlfriend I was dating for like 2 years. I don't know what possessed me to stay with her. You know what I'm saying? But people, we do shit sometimes where it's just like, we'll commit to a bad, and we won't look in the mirror and go, dude, that was just, what were you doing? You know? And then, because what's cool about that is when you actually reflect and you go, what were you doing? You start figuring out where you made mistakes, where you kind of fell into a hole, and how you can actually not do that in the future. But what most people do is they just kind of go, oh, that happened. Oh, that happened. It was bad. It's like, but what did you learn from it? What did you gain from it?
Exactly.
Like, things in life don't happen to us. They happen for us. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if again, I love Tony Robbins. He talks about this instance where he was having like Thanksgiving, right? But his family was poor, so they didn't have any food or anything for Thanksgiving. And someone knew that and like gave him a gift basket. And the father wouldn't take it because he was so proud that I can't have charity, blah, 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 blah. And it was like one of the worst moments in Tony's life, but it was a moment that Tony looks back and goes, I'm actually really grateful for that one moment, because it was the moment I decided I'm not going to be like him.
Yeah.
So even the worst moments you can be grateful for those moments, because they can provide you the clarity to make a shift in your life that you need to make, you know?
I mean, it's happened to me in the past year. So, I mean, I'm same boat as he was. So, yeah, I totally get it. And we're going to kind of move a little forward more on talking of revenues for bands. We kind of got off
sorry.
a little bit.
Got off on that tangent.
I love just talking about, you know, just mental capacity with the whole business and just life and anything. So if we go off a little bit, I don't care. It's
okay,
all good.
Cool.
But so going back to, you know, potential revenue for bands, one of the things I noticed you mentioned, merch minus recording music. So T-shirts, you have mugs and stuff like that for your band, you know.
That's a big deal.
Little stuff here and there. Not only that, but then other stuff too, which I've been kind of getting involved in. VIP upgrades, meet and greets, sound checks, VIP performances, bus tours. I've done all of it. So I've paid into it, and I've also been there as a publicist and photographer where I've seen those people that are there. One of the things that I really love is unique autographed items. So if you look over my shoulder here, you kind of see, you know, drum heads.
That's that Blacktop Mojo poster in the back too.
So, I have signed drum heads, drumsticks, microphones, set lists, promo flyers, photos, just anything that you can make a couple bucks on that is something that somebody else doesn't have.
Exactly.
It goes a long way because, if you have an album, that's cool. Yeah, you have a T-shirt, that's cool. But if you have, you know, a set list where I'm going to turn my thing up here.
Yeah.
Band Fozzy up there. You have
I see that.
And everything. You have Bullet to the Heart. I mean, there's just shit all over the place that I just love finding cool shit. So I think bands need to kind of look into that a little bit more, but they think sometimes it's too cheesy.
Dude,
not at
that's
all.
so
it's
true.
A business.
Oh my gosh, man. There's so much of that. There's actually one time I got this is what I do. This is how big of a nerd I am. I got this sheet where it's like an arrow for like the most expensive merch items and then the cheapest merch items. And I made a list. Like, even if we don't have all this stuff, I went to all the top artists and figure out, what are you selling? What are you selling? And just made this list. And it's like, I want artists to understand, like, don't be so, like, you want to be thinking about it, like I said, from the perspective of value. If you're a fan of a band, what would be a valuable thing that you could get? Well, signed poster, that's cool. Signed drum head, signed sticks, those personalized things. That has a lot of value to a fan. So instead of thinking, like, I've had some bands go, you know, what do I charge for this and what do I charge for this? I'm like, well, one, that depends on what you got it for, but two, it depends on what's the value of what you're giving people.
So one of the things over my shoulder, you have a signed set list right here.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, you do just print it out on a computer. It costs you 10 cents.
Yeah.
You sell it for $5. Holy shit! Wait,
that's a great margin.
$5 more. If you're on the road, where can that get you gas-wise? I mean, sure, you sell 10 of those, shit, there's an extra $50 right there.
Yeah.
So you just do little stuff like that. And like you said, it's about value. So when you see stuff like that, you don't have to put a huge price tag on it. Do something small, you know?
Yeah. Something that's just like something that's valuable to the fan and they could easily get, you know? And another thing too, this is kind of going into like more of like selling merchandise and stuff, is like have a spectrum of pricing so that you can service all your fans. Because you will have fans no matter what genre you're in. You're going to have fans across the entire socioeconomic ladder. And so you want to be able to, for the people that are on the bottom, maybe they don't have a whole bunch of money, you still want to give them quick access to really cool items.
Yeah.
You know, like one of the things that we try to do sometimes is we'll throw in as a deal, like you'll get a month free of our membership, right? And like, just so like, hey, we know that like this is a low ticket item and that like all this other stuff would be too much, but what if we threw this in for free for you? Just because it's like, that would be a lot of value to them, you know, and not because that would make us more money because we're giving it away for free. We're losing money. But in that given context, now you don't want to do that based on default. It's a business. You want to make a profit. But there are certain scenarios where it's like
draws you in. That's the best.
It draws you in. You know, like a little strategy. I'll give your viewers a little expert strategy, which is you want to almost like build up an email list, your own traffic that you control, right? Because that's the way they call it. Traffic you own, traffic you control, because otherwise you got to pay Mark Zuckerberg or you got to pay Google to get access to your fans, which is weird, right? But what I would do is I would almost like sell an item up front that you make very little money on, or maybe even like it's just like you just waste a lot of, not waste, that's a bad word. You use a lot of time to get it up front, but it gets you leads is the business term. It gets you all these people that are going to be potential fans onto a list, and then you can start sending them your song, start sending your newest music video, and then if you have like a cool deal or something like a poster or a t-shirt, you can send them that deal too. But you're getting people into your ecosystem that way. And that way, whenever you put advertisements of your new shirt, your poster, your koozie, your mug, your whatever, right? Now you don't have to pay advertising money to access those people anymore because you did that up front. And you may actually have gotten paid to get those fans because you offered them this cool upfront item that maybe made you like $2 or whatever. So no, you're not profiting a whole bunch, but now you have this list of people. It's like, oh, that dig your stuff, and that you could like send them a new song and send them, hey, we're coming to your town, and we're coming, you know, different things like that. That's one way, like, I would hope bands can like upgrade their business a little bit instead of relying so much, like we were talking about, like, because if you post on Facebook, unless you pay money for an ad, Zuckerberg's pushing that thing down.
Exactly. And I always say this. I say it gets lost in the mundane scrolling system. You're flipping through, you're going to miss it, and you're going to then see...
if the algorithm even puts it on your page.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing, too, those people that are liking your stuff will then keep seeing more of it. So if nobody's liking your posts or anything, it's not going to continuously come up in the algorithms of Facebook.
It's like a positive feedback loop.
Exactly. So once you start liking stuff, then you're going to see more of it.
It'll show to more, oh, maybe more people like it. So you want to, if you're not seeing engagement, I would do a little audit on your posts, your content. I've seen some bands that take the quantity over quality approach, where they'll post every day, but it's like super fuzzy, like shot of them filming their TV. I don't care about your TV, man.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care about that. Even if I was a fan of my favorite band, I wouldn't care necessarily. Like stuff like that, you know. I would, if you're not getting engagement, I would say that it probably has to do with the content you're posting. So maybe have your content be a little, you know, like it's not, we talked about this. You got to learn a little bit about business, and part of business is sales and marketing. And there's nothing wrong with being a little persuasive in your advertisements, in your posts. And there's nothing wrong with being persuasive because, or, you know, getting people's attention because, like you said, we're in this scroll economy where people are going to see your ad like that just as it's scrolling through their page, you know? And so if you can grab, you know, if you can create something that's like, check this out, new song, you know, or you're like, or you put together some cool copy like, you know what, I'm just thinking of something off the top of my head, you know, like the coolest new song to come out of the Midwest, you know, whatever, you know, you try to get people in, hook people in a little bit, you know, because everyone's just doing this right now. That's where we're at. That's what the algorithms actually like train us to do, in a sense.
Yeah, it's actually
is to just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll, you know?
So one of the things that I've been seeing lately is the take a look now before it's gone. So then that way somebody clicks on it right away, because you don't know if it's going to be gone. So it's like, oh shit, somebody just posted this. I might want to check it out.
Creates a little scarcity.
One other thing I kind of want to talk about the situation with bands and funds and money and that. I always say invest in yourself.
Yes.
Invest in your band. Don't be afraid to spend money. It is not, and being in Chicago, oh my God, yeah, the whole pay to play conversation. This could be a podcast for like weeks on its own.
Seriously.
So I'm just going to kind of briefly throw this out there and see what you have to think. So there are so many local bands here in Chicago that think pay to play is the worst thing in the world. You're getting fucked over. You're getting screwed. No, you're not.
Yeah, man. Like
certain venues, maybe.
Yeah.
But there's a time and a place to invest in yourself to be on the pay to play. If you know a lot of these festivals, as you and I do, there is a little bit of a fee to kind of get on some of these. It's not really out there for people, but it's out there.
But
those that know you're going to have to throw down some money to be in it. Some of these tours, to be a opening band, you have to pay somewhat of a fee to kind of be on it, and
people hate that, man. But what's funny, man, is like,
oh, it sucks, but I get it. You're promoting yourself, and it's free advertising from getting out in front of people. Not free advertising, but it's advertising for yourself. Correct.
Boosted advertising, like getting access to an audience. And if you got on the right bill, to an audience that you want to be in front of, you would want, like, steal fans is a terrible phrase, but it's because you don't steal them, because people can like two bands at the same time, but you're adding more fans from their fan base, right? Oh, you like them, you probably like us too. Like, oh yeah, I do like you. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to pay to play, yeah, it depends on the opportunity. If it's, like, I'll go ahead and demystify this. Sorry, because we've worked with this venue a little bit, but the Whiskey A Go Go is a pay to play venue. I don't think it's worth it. Not because it's not a cool venue, not because the location isn't great, but it's the quality of the clientele that is not great.
Yeah, so, I've been there one time, and I saw it, and I'm just going to say I was glad to have been there for the history, but that brings some shit. So,
exactly. You're like, wait a minute. I thought this was like...
and they don't treat your brewery well either, so yeah.
Yeah. But, like, I mean, it was one of those things where there's opportunities that seem on the surface like, oh, yeah, pay to play. That's a good investment. But you got to look a little bit underneath a little bit sometimes. You got to look under the hood and see if it's really a good opportunity or if it just kind of seems like a good opportunity on the surface. Exactly. But, yeah, there are opportunities where, oh, my gosh, if we got in front of their fan base, that would do wonders for our career. And so it makes sense to invest. Benjamin Franklin has the best quote on this to me, which is, invest in yourself because it pays infinite returns. Right. An investment in yourself is quite literally, I think, the best investment you can make, because I'll give the listeners a little bit of an example. When I was younger, I understood, like, man, we're not making a lot of money right now. I need to, like, figure out more streams of income. So I was like, okay, I'm going to look at real estate, because that's what everyone, a lot of people are like, real estate.
That's kind of what you do now too. So there you go.
But it's a great industry if you have the knowledge. So what happened is I invested a good amount of money, like a couple $1,000 or more in education over a couple courses of just learning how this stuff works. And I was able to make a profit on a deal that paid for all my education. So, like, people should look at it from that perspective of, like, you invest money up front in yourself to acquire the knowledge and the skills that you need, so that you can actually go out and return on that investment. You can actually go out and implement the strategy, implement the skill, and it's going to start, oh, okay, that's returning me some investment on that,
So funny you say that, because 2 years ago, I went back to school. I'm 46 years old now. At 44, I went back to school to actually do more broadcast media, just to kind of learn up on the new stuff.
Yeah.
So just radio stuff, lyric videos, filming. I mean, I've already been a photographer for 25 years, but it's like I wanted more. I wanted to learn what was up. So I invested on myself. I invested in my future, even though so many people, when I first got into it, they're like, are you fucking crazy? Why are you doing this now? I'm like, because this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was behind because I didn't know all the new media stuff and like the whole Adobe Cloud and all that shit. So I spent the money to go to school and I graduated. I got a job at a radio station. Unfortunately, COVID fucked that up. Yeah. So, but now, you know, I kind of I've been running my own production business, and I do a radio show and 4 podcasts. So it's like, without this knowledge of doing it, I would never have been able to go forward.
Exactly. Without investing in yourself and getting those skills, getting the knowledge, and just cultivating it over years, we wouldn't have had the wherewithal to do anything like that, to be essentially entrepreneurs, having our own businesses that we're investing in. Because again, I don't want to like take away any of the artistic side of this from musicians, because that I don't think will go anywhere. I think if you're genuinely passionate about music, you will create music for the sake of fulfillment, not for the sake of profit. And one of the things this is kind of what I talked about with Gabriel, our singer, the other day, is I almost think that like focusing on getting profit through other means other than your recorded music helps you, because that means whenever you go to record your music, you go to write your music, you're not thinking, okay, how do I make this song like a commodity that can sell a bunch of copies? You know, you're not thinking about that, because that's not where, in your head, that's not where the money is. The money is in these other things. The money is in good merchandise, good membership programs. Anytime there's like cool VIP offers, like that's where they're going to make their money. But as far as your music, it's like, bro, you're not going to make a bunch of money on your music.
So just write what you want. That right there. I mean, you're not going to make a lot of money on your music for streams and stuff like that. Because if you think about it, what do you make per stream? Like
0.00437 on Spotify.
Thank you. So you make virtually nothing.
Yeah.
Or you could sell an autograph poster for $15
all day.
Or you could sell, like you said, a meet and greet for like $50. With a picture and this and that, and the experience to actually be there. The music, you get to listen to it, but to me, it's about the experiences as well. So when you're out about, and obviously, like we said, we know COVID screwed everything up the past year. Getting out and seeing live bands has been one of the most excruciating thing for me, because in 2019, I did over 70 shows. Last year, I did 3.
Oh, man.
So this year, I've done 0. So it's like, dude, my life went from what to nothing. And it's like I had to figure out how to fill my time. And then once everything kind of does come back, it's going to be weird, but I can't wait. And I'm going to be, I hate to say going nuts on spending on some of these meet and greets, but I think, if I could do interviews with bands like you, that would be awesome. I could do the meet and greet and then do the interview. But then if I don't, then I could actually buy the VIPs and, the fun little merch over my shoulder just to kind of, get a little piece of it. But that streams more than just the music.
God, absolutely, man. And I don't want to discount streaming, because, okay, I'll be honest, you can make money in streaming, but it's a scale issue. Mm-hmm. You have to have X amount of monthly listeners, and it has to be big enough, and then all of a sudden you'll start to make money on your music. But up until that point, you're not. Don't even worry about it as like, we gotta make sure that money from ASCAP is coming in from those. Don't even worry about that on that side. I would be focused on your energy, developing cool membership clubs for your fans, and that this is something I want. That's why I brought up value versus price, because sometimes people are like, okay, I just need to get a shirt so I can sell it at X. It's like, no, that's the wrong way to look at it. It's like, what is the value that has to a fan, and how can you like over deliver in a sense? Like we've put together deals for fans where it's like, it costs retail, so to speak, like $20, but we'll sell it to them for $7. Because the value is just like, oh, I get all that and I only have to pay this. And then from our perspective, from a financial perspective, we don't make a whole bunch of money, but we just got a loyal fan and someone who's like, this person cares about me. They're not just like putting out expensive stuff so they can like take my money, which is what some bands do sometimes.
For a t-shirt at a big, TV tour.
Yeah, you know, so like giving people these cool opportunities, and this is where bands can use their creativity, you know, like you like put together, this is a little freebie for y'all out there, get like a USB, put some exclusive tracks on it or some new tracks, and then put like some audio of a commentary of those tracks on it, and then maybe like another thing, like a bonus remix, and just sell that. That costs so little, and that has such cool value to a fan. It's like, oh, okay. And like there's a personalized message in there for me or something, you know, like things like that. All of a sudden, yeah, that's one thing. And I hope bands can start using their creativity, because I know they're creative. They're out there writing songs, you know, using that muscle of creativity on music. It's like, don't be afraid to use that muscle on business and create cool things for your fans, you know, they'll appreciate it.
The other thing I noticed too is some of the top artists are their own best publicists.
Oh, for sure.
So my favorite band, Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl, that motherfucker's on
He's so
everything
good,
and promotes everything like you wouldn't believe. Does not every interview because he's never taken one of mine yet. But
come on, Dave.
Yeah, come on, Dave, get on the Bad Ass
Hell, man.
time. But think about, just the fact that any band that has some sort of following, those people, even though it might not be the lead singer, it could be somebody else in the band,
yeah,
needs to kind of be out there and promote themselves more than just a publicist or anybody else. So that's kind of how I see it too. I know many local bands don't really care to do that, but that's important if you want to be noticed. You have to be somewhat of a local celebrity first before you can have anything else.
People think if they like my music, well, then they'll think I'm interesting and go check me out. And I'm like, that is exactly opposite. That is 100% the opposite way that it works. I'm sorry, y'all. They find you as a person interesting, and then they're like, oh, I'll go check his music out. It's kind of flipped, because back in the day, yeah, you could kind of have that bit of a vibe where it's like you don't really know the personalities. You just hear the music, and you're like, oh, I'm going to go check them out, you know? But even then, Zeppelin, those weren't like nobodies with great music. They were iconic figures for a reason. Robert Plant had that larger-than-life personality. Exactly. Jimmy Page had that kind of cool kind of like everyone in the band had their own persona that made them iconic. It wasn't just four nobodies who wrote great music and then got popular because of that. So to an extent, this has always been a thing that people need to understand is be captivating, be interesting, and that will help people want to go check out your stuff more. You know, I know some people that like they never heard of System of a Down, and then all of a sudden they see some articles that look kind of interesting or some pictures that are like, well, who is this band? Go check it out, right? And then all of a sudden it's like they love Serge Tankian, they love every member of the band now. But it wasn't because they heard the music first. Sometimes, you know, nowadays with the way that it's working with Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat and all that kind of stuff, is they see the personality first, and then they go and they check out their music.
Yeah, now especially like you said, and then also throw on their Twitch.
Yes,
there's a lot of Twitch going on, and I mean, I'm just learning that. I know I'm an old guy. Hey, jump on Twitch, but yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out too. And
fans are afraid of TikTok too, man, and I don't get it.
I am.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, hopefully this will get you excited, man. Like I was kind of like, TikTok, isn't that what the kids do?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
that's how Facebook was 15 years ago.
FNA, man. And so like what happened is we put out a little, it was kind of like a funny clip of Gabriel. He was riding his skateboard down this big hill, and once he got to the bottom, he totally bit shit.
I gotta see that now.
That's great. It's on Instagram and TikTok. So for those of y'all that are interested in watching Gabriel eat shit,
or Gabriel,
hear music, and go check that out.
By the way, tell him I said hi. I haven't seen him in a while.
I will. Yeah, absolutely. But what happened was on Instagram, it got like 100 views and like 68 likes or so. And then it went to TikTok and it got like 3,000 views, like 250 likes. And this is like within one day, you know? And so you can kind of see, it's like, wait a second, I'm getting a whole bunch of engagement over here. And it's the same content, you know? It's the exact same thing, just different platforms. So like experiment with it, y'all. And I would say TikTok is a place where bands can be a little bit more personable, be a little bit like funnier. Like, I don't know about y'all, like hanging out with your crew and everything, but like we quote movies all the time. It's like a sickness.
There you go.
So like, I'm like, dude, we could make TikToks of us like doing movie scenes. Like we've thought about that, just to be fun and just use the platform for kind of what it's best for, So that's kind of like some Gary Vaynerchuk, some wisdom is post content that's native to the platform, Like if Facebook prefers content to be landscape and YouTube prefers things to be landscape, then do that. And if things like Instagram story, Snapchat, and TikTok prefer portrait, put content on there that's in portrait, you know what I'm saying? Like make it native to the platform that the viewer is consuming it on so that it's easy for them,
Good way to look at it.
Yeah. So when they look at it, there's no like, why is there these weird black boxes everywhere? You know what I'm saying? Like they're kind of blocking out most of your video or wherever it happens to be at, So that's one little social media tip. Post native to the platform.
Well, holy shit. You and I have covered so much. I mean, I should probably bring you on again in the near future to talk.
Dude, yeah.
More. But holy, we're almost at an hour. I'm like looking at yes. See what I mean? You just get into conversation and it just keeps going.
I
literally had 2 questions written down here for you, and they weren't even questions. They were just bullshit and talk.
Dude, that's so cool. It's funny. Gabriel and I, when we're like trying to get lyrics for a song, like people, my wife will come by like, "Are you guys gonna do anything today?" Because we're sitting around and we're talking, but she thinks we're just bullshit, and I'm like, no, like we're trying to get deep on this subject so that when we go and write, we've got all this stuff we just got done talking about and can help fuel ideas. And usually that's when songs like we have a 3-hour-long conversation and then we go in and it takes us an hour and we've got like the bones of a song down, as opposed to spending 5 hours trying to put something together, one puzzle piece at a time, So like great conversations are the gateway to like so many awesome things, whether it's good music, more knowledge. I love it, man.
Well, hopefully this podcast today will at least open the minds up to bands on different ways to, revenue. All of a sudden I got tongue-tied there. Different revenue, just opening yourself up to, different ideas, and don't do the stuff that was done 20 years ago because it's an old model, and unfortunately it's kind of gone.
And a lot of people will do, this is something I guess we can kind of end on, is like, don't just put in the bare minimum amount of work and then expect that, like, for instance, like some people are like, live streaming doesn't work. I'm like, okay, well, I'm try it. And try it like once a week. And they do it like 2 weeks in a row and they're like, it doesn't work. I'm like, you did it 2 weeks in a row, dude. Do it like for two or 3 months and then tell me how it goes. And we did that. We had thousands of people viewing those streams by the end of it. And it was like, hell yeah, it's starting to work for us, right? But if we'd have stopped 2 shows in, we wouldn't have had the opportunity to reach more people and stuff. So a lot of people, they kind of put in the minimum amount of work with stuff and like they're like, oh, it doesn't work. It's like, if you guys are going to commit to being musicians, commit and like invest in yourself, like start taking action. Don't dip your toe, so to speak, in the waters. And I think I might be a musician. I might buy some merch. I might invest in myself. It's like, no, go all in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, either all in or just be the hobbyist and do the 9 bars.
And like we said, there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
but just know for yourself. Know like this is my genuine, like this is how I feel in my soul. If I have to pursue this because it's not just a dream. It's like it's my purpose, my calling. Then you got to commit to learning the business too. But if like you're just like, I just want to play and have fun and just write stuff and I don't care who hears it, it's like, cool. More power to you. No one's hating on you. We still love you. We still think you're awesome.
And you do your live trainings. You also have videos on, is it musicianmastercourse.com?
So if you go to musicianmastercourse.com, you can register for this like free training that I do every Wednesday. And we go through basically how to take musicians from where they're at right now. And so they can learn how the big players are actually setting up their businesses, like how Justin Timberlake structures his businesses and how Jay-Z does it. We go through things like that and how to market your band, how you actually don't need that many fans to be profitable. And we go over some of the math behind that. That's at musicianmastercourse.com. If you just want to check out some awesome free content, I have Musician Mastery on YouTube. You can go to musicianmastery.com if that's something you're interested in. There's a whole bunch of episodes of stuff on there. And if you want to hear some music, KirraMusic.com.
KirraMusic.com. You can get some merch there too, which I have.
Yeah.
I'm currently wearing the t-shirt, so that always
Get
works
some
out.
cool shirts.
I got it at one of the many shows that I've seen you guys at, so that's pretty cool. Then you can
nice.
follow Daxton on Facebook, or Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, obviously, probably Snapchat and Twitch.
I haven't got on Twitch yet. I need to, though.
Okay.
I need to, though.
Gotcha. So where else can we find you guys? Obviously, we have KirraMusic.com as the main one, and then what are the other social platforms we can find?
I would say, honestly, y'all, go listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music. Just type in Kirra. We've got a new single coming out. It's April 3rd. So, it's 4/3/21. So, 4/3/21. Crutches going live on Spotify and all that fun stuff.
I did see that pop up on your page. So, okay, I got to check that out.
And we also have this is just fun for your listeners. We have a cool gift we're giving away for all the fans. That's sort of like a pre-release little gift, give you access to some cool behind-the-scenes stuff. So, if you go to like our Instagram and click the link in our bio, you'll get access to these really cool gifts.
Awesome, man. Well, Daxton, I really appreciate you joining me today. And
thank you, man, for having us.
I will definitely be playing
awesome.
your new song coming up on the Rock Hard with Evan J. Thomas show within the next few weeks, obviously. So that should be fun as well.
Hell yeah, Evan. Thank you so much for having me on, man. This was a blast.
Anytime.
We need part two to finish this up. Keep talking
about
Daxton
Page, Kirra, thank you very much. And until next time, rock on.